All right. Great. Welcome, everybody, to our Midwest Elevations, our conversations to raise the collective conscious. My name is Renee Zukin, and I'm your host. Today, we have a wonderful guest all the way from Canada, Miss Joanne Peters. She and I are going to have a conversation today about parenting. We all think we're being loving, adoring parents, but really, there's a lot of struggle happening sometimes. So I'm really excited to get into the weeds of this one. Parenting is, of course, probably the hardest job and the most amazing job that any of us have. Whether you're parenting, your own children from the womb or the children of your family or your community or whatnot. We all have relationships where, especially in the education field and the social sciences and what a human what's the word I'm looking for? all those roles in which we help all the people in our community, right? Children play a huge role, and so understanding our own struggles and how we can help elevate ourselves and our children is a big deal. So Joanne is here. She embarked on a beautiful journey herself of self-empowerment, and she realized she was unknowingly affecting her kids in a negative way. Uh, Same. Um, and, realizing that instead she could impact them more powerfully in a loving way that would give them opportunities to create loving, empowered relationships and success in their lives. So Joanne teaches parents how to end the fighting and the struggling and create a whole lot more peace and communication. So welcome, Joanne. I am so excited to have you here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see us.
I'm very excited to be here. And you actually raised a good point. I feel it takes a community to raise a child because we are so attached to our own kids and stuff gets in the way and we don't always see things so clearly.
It's
Yeah.
so
I
true.
I like you work in the schools. So we learn a lot from the kids.
We do. They are
Hmm.
our best teachers.
Hmm.
Our own children and the children of others, the children of our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole "It Takes a Village" was a book for a reason. But
Yeah. I remember years ago when I started working in the school, things are so different than it is now because I work with kids for speech therapy, and the games and the activities that I used to be able to play with them don't maintain their interest. You just need to move really quickly, keep them motivated. That I feel like there's so many things pulling them in so many different directions.
Mhm.
So it's been a real eye opener, both in schools and in my own family.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So, tell us a little bit about, you said I thought I was a loving mother, but I wasn't, right? Which is a
Yes,
pretty bold statement. So,
yes,
yeah, why don't you walk us through that a little bit? What was your experience there?
yes. Well, yeah, I well, we are loving mothers. Like I thought I was a really loving mother. I was taking care of all their needs, cooking healthy meals, taking them to library programs, reading them books, doing all those things that you want to do as a mom, and you want them to be happy and successful. But all the time, things were hard. Like um, I was just stressed and I was busy getting to work and taking care of the kids. And I was also a single parent. I had gone through a divorce. So I was not aware at all of what was going on underneath the surface. So like I would say I was happy, honestly, but I wasn't diving deep. I wasn't looking within. So I was going about the motions. I was happy being a mom. Um, but yeah, and so my kids started having some struggles and with focus, with busy all over the place. And um, that's when I started diving in and figuring things out. But it intensified when my youngest, I couldn't get her to school. I couldn't get her to do her work and she wasn't communicating to me. So our kids really push us to learn and figure things out because we will do things for them. Because the whole time I was angry at my ex, I was worried about money, I was worried about getting everything done. I didn't have any clue. Didn't stop to think, wait a minute, oh, I'm angry, I'm worried, I'm in fear. I didn't have any awareness in thinking of conscious and subconscious and thoughts.
Right, right.
So
Well, you're so busy taking care of everybody else. And then, like as you said, it wasn't until, your youngest was kind of mirroring these things that you didn't even realize you were dealing with
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of brought it to the surface.
Yes, huge teacher because you want your kids to be successful. You want them to have great relationships. You want them to do really well, and they're not talking to you, and you can't help them because they're not helping you with what's going on. And then you feel like a horrible mom. The school system. I worked in the school system, and
Right.
I felt like a horrible mom. I can't get my daughter to go to school. My God, what a terrible person I am. So this whole has been the most amazing, wonderful journey that she pushed me into.
Mm.
And I was so super motivated to understand and to get it it was about assisting her, but it was actually assisting me
Yeah.
that so now, before we couldn't talk, she was, you know, inside she was really angry and mad. And what I to make a bold statement, what I learned is I was basically shooting at her. Like I was inside, angry at my ex, worried about money, worried about my kids, like basically energetically shooting all this crap at her. So
Right.
they shut down, and it's yuck. And so I had to learn how to really understand that, release it. And so now it's so amazing how because what happens is when you change from where you're coming from, they're open to you. It's not as painful. And so now, it's so cool now that she'll come and talk to me, and she openly wants to talk to me and share things with me. And that was not the case before. So,
That's
yeah, basically shooting versus understanding what I was doing and coming from a loving place.
right, right. Oh, that's great. So one of the things you said, I really wanted to highlight, this idea of energetically
Yeah.
what was happening, and sort of realizing, we are so close to our kids, right? So we can, and especially, I'm sure you're a very empathic person, and your children pick up on that too. But really, like, we as parents set the bar energetically for the room, or for for those pieces of the relationship. I took some mindfulness courses this summer to get trained in using mindfulness in my classroom as well. And one of the things they talk about is you're really the barometer in the room. And I think you were sort of saying the same thing, like, because you had all this anger and the frustrations and the things that you weren't kind of dealing with. It didn't mean they weren't being expressed. They just weren't being, it was just more on that, like,
Yeah.
feeling level. And so she's picking up on that and,
Yeah.
kind of showing
Yeah.
it to you.
And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's saying anything. Like we're going about our day-to-day life, and until things start getting intense, that you really look for answers and start understanding what's going on. Yeah. So yes, beautiful teacher, and assisted me with the kids that I work with as well, because yeah, yeah, to come from a loving place and to look at where am I coming from? Am
Mm-hmm.
I needing? Am I frustrated? And I'm worried. So yeah, I really got to dive in deep to why I had all that stuff and what I could do about it. And instead, it comes down to what kind of thought forms am I sending out to them. And I really like to stop throughout the day, because we're so trained to be worried about our kids. We're so trained to worry that bad things are going to happen. And anytime I have a thought, it's like, wait a minute. Now I believe we're all part of some greater, I call it source, God, some greater yeah, source. I feel like we're all part of this one thing. So it's like, okay, no, oh my God, she's capable of handling everything that comes her way. She's smart, intelligent, wise, cool. And then she picks up on those thought energies.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of oh, poor her, oh my God, this might happen, then she picks up on those energies.
Oh, that's
And that's
so interesting.
and that's what I used to do. I used to like, oh my God, I can't get her to go to school. Oh my God, she's gonna fail. And it was
Right. All that
it was
fear.
everything 24/7. It was fear-based thoughts 24/7, and it got more intense and worse. And yeah.
So
And
you feeling like you doing the work inside about what you're projecting essentially,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and your belief in your own kids, how,
Hmm.
whether coming from a perspective, oh, I'm worried that they're not going to be able to handle this, and I'm worried that they're, because we worry about our kids. I mean, that's
Yeah,
like, we are biologically entrained to, protect them, obviously, but then it
yeah,
goes beyond, obviously, it doesn't have to be, every little thing or whatever. Um,
yeah.
but it's so interesting to hear you say, by you sort of shifting your own thoughts and the way that you think about how your kids can handle challenges,
Hmm.
even, uh,
Hmm.
you know, it just I don't know. It just seems like it's
Yeah,
not like a magic bullet, but it turns things around so that
yeah,
it lifts that
yeah,
feel.
yeah. So this was my understanding that we have so many energetic links with so many people, everybody, and they could be negative, they could be positive. So and we're trained, you're right, we are trained to worry, we are trained to think. And it's not until I stop and realize, okay, I didn't even have any idea of my thoughts, not until I really stopped to think, oh yeah, I'm worrying about this, or I'm worrying about that, or I'm so guilty, or I feel like a really bad mom. And so I'm connecting on low negative levels,
Mm,
basically sending her all these horrible scenarios, and she's picking up on that. Versus I've learned you can connect on loving levels. And like I believe 100% we are capable of handling everything I say that we choose. I feel like we choose our experiences and forget them. But so capable of handling everything that comes our way, that we've chosen different explorations. And I even say that my kids, before they came here, before they, I feel like we all chose each other as a family, and we all knew that what we were going to go through, and we were excited. It's like, yes,
yeah.
I want to understand how fear works and anger, and I want to know what it's like to really be mad at you because I love you, right?
Right.
And so, and they, my ex-husband and my youngest mostly, have given me the huge gift of finding out who I am, empowering me because I was weak, disempowered, no belief in myself. I threw away my career. So I had to, when things get really bad, you do things mainly for your kids.
Right.
But
Right.
when you're forced to, you do things.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
So thinking about them for who they really are, and that it's not, oh, poor her, she has to repeat that course even though she's really smart. It's it's like awesome choices, Shannon, awesome learning. And how powerful is that if I say that to you? Oh my God, Renee, you have the most amazing experiences. And it might not go the way we think it's going to go, but it's perfect. It's,
right.
what if we said everything was perfect?
Right.
Yeah. And what if
I
my
know
mom was,
there's a
yeah.
lot of, yeah. I was gonna say, I know there's a lot of pushback, and there's some things that you're
Mm,
like, I didn't sign up for this.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but this series, right, is about the collective conscious and the things that
Yeah. I love that.
you talked about, that we agreed to this, and so I've heard a lot of teachers and wise gurus and such talk about the soul contracts that we make. So we might not be,
Before we,
conscious
yeah.
aware, right?
We
You know,
can't be. We can't be, or we wouldn't explore it.
right, right.
We
Yeah,
wouldn't do
make
things.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
make that contract on the
yeah,
soul level, and then we
yeah,
come down here and forget everything and have to,
yeah,
oh, this is why this is
yeah.
happening.
And get angry at the people who you love so intensely. Yeah.
Well, and
And,
I love that you included your ex-husband too as
mhm.
somebody who empowered you because he challenged you so much.
Yeah.
And I would say that's probably, the people who are doing the inner work, and many of us have been through either major breakups or divorce, some of us
Mhm. Yeah.
once. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
have you know the people who push our buttons the most, that's like the biggest and the hardest lessons that we need to be learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's cool is, yeah, so he actually left the province, completely different time zone. And so, yeah, I was left to raise my kids. And thank goodness, because I really had to step it up. Because I say that fear seems to have such control over us. It keeps us small, it keeps us terrified. Like I was saying to you last night, I was teaching a master class. And because you're opening up and you're stepping up and you're doing more, oh my gosh, the fear and the thoughts that were spinning in my head, it's like holy crow. Where prior to that I was so pumped and so excited. So it's so interesting, and it's just about not letting them, not empowering them, and knowing that who you are, that
Hmm.
you have something to share. Yeah. But about my ex, I wanted to say this. So this is what I've learned, which I love, is as I do my work, because we're all in a soul group. There's actually, our soul group is huge. There's multiple soul, like, you're connecting. But as I do my work, I'm energetically and genetically shifting not only my kids. So that's what I'm so passionate about, is assisting moms to like assist the next generation to have empowered, loving, strong, healthy relationships and joy in life. And I also know that we assist like my mom and dad too, because I could say, oh, my poor mom, like she had no belief in herself, she didn't never spoke her truth, but I'm assisting her, like, so it goes both ways. But not only that, I assist my ex because we're connected
Right.
energetically. So yeah, so it's, I mean, he still has to do his work, but
Right,
but
right.
but
Yeah, we're
he
all in
he
charge of our own work,
he
but
will
it
be,
also
he
is
shifts as I do my work that has to do with him, then he shifts, and then I'm not blasting him anymore.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great,
so
because
that's
you
kind of
do, because
exciting.
people have to come up to where you're at, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, if you're going to meet
mhm,
them down here, or they're going to meet you down here, and somebody shifts, there has to be a change in the communication, or in,
yeah,
or how
yeah,
you interact. And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
if you're staying up here, then
yeah. There's
the
those,
kids, the ex,
yeah,
everybody.
balance it all out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
And that's a hard thing. I think I've actually been thinking about this a lot, um, just recently, about the ability to keep ourselves, we talk about a high vibration, when things, things that are, you know, joy and loving, and versus, the lower frequencies of fear and anger and jealousy and that sort of thing. But like when everybody around you, um, or not everybody, but if you're with people who are, um, you know, on that sort of lower energy, and not, and we all got, we don't all just stay here, right? We all do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's a learning. It's learning. It's
but
all learning. Yeah,
but being able to, especially in the midst of conflict, whether you're in conflict, with a child, or a partner or a coworker or whatever, being able to maintain that level of sort of self-awareness and consciousness and love and compassion in the midst of the conflict.
yeah. That's a learning. Yeah,
Oh
and
my
and
gosh.
not to judge ourselves when we blow it, because if we're judging ourselves, then we're going even deeper into the yuck. But yeah, yeah, you're right, it's a learning. It's I find it's an understanding of the deeper levels, as and looking as, what is it that's triggering me? Am I not feeling valued? Am I not feeling worthy? and knowing that it's all our stuff, that they're just the messenger, but it's a message for us.
Right. Right.
And
Which
then,
sometimes is the hardest.
yeah, and then it's knowing what to do with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, just the energy exercises like the mindfulness that you said. But
Hmm.
yes, it's all, everybody's a teacher. Everybody's a teacher,
Everybody's a teacher.
and it teaches you something about yourself. Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah,
Indeed.
yeah. I have come to the understanding that I call it judgment. So like if I'm not, last night I was expecting my class to go a certain way, and expectations is judgment. Just
Yeah.
be open and let it flow however it's going to flow. But if I go into judgment of a coworker, oh, she shouldn't do that, that's not right. Um, what I've come to understand, because I'm diving in, like, why am I not okay with? So this is what I do. It's like, okay, she has free will to do whatever she wants to do. It's not what I'm choosing. But it's like, why am I judging her? So what I found it was a need for me to feel better. And
Mm,
fear tends to want to lower someone else so you feel better.
yeah.
So when I have
Yeah.
that understanding, it's wait a minute, I love her. Like I love her. Thank you for showing me that I'm needy
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then not judging that on top of it,
Yes.
right? Then
Yes. Just
then
it's
working through that.
yeah, okay, that's cool. And I understand. And I'm now that I have the awareness, I can deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. And know the bigger picture, the real me, the real you, the real us is smart, intelligent, love, light, amazing, talented. And it's only these little things that come floating across to say, oh, wait a minute, let's play with some need or let's play with some anger.
Mm.
And then it's like just understanding that's not who we are. And we have explored it and learning from it, learning, it makes us feel crappy.
Right.
Makes us feel sucky. And we're sending our kids those negative thoughts as well and connecting them on those negative levels. So I find it's all learning. It takes a while to get into that excited learning mode. It's like, oh, it's like
Right, right.
not again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know?
that's the thing, it's the learning is always there's struggle in there. So it's not like everything is gonna be like,
Yeah.
roses and butterflies,
Yeah.
but it's certainly
It's a
gonna be different.
it's a process. It's a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a journey worth taking.
Right. And I was
Yeah.
gonna say, and meaningful.
Yeah.
It becomes far more meaningful than if you didn't dive in at all.
Yeah. And you feel so much better and so much more excited, and you understand things when they go sour.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
connecting to your kids that way. I mean, you talked
Mm.
about, now that, you and your daughter have a totally different kind of relationship where you are able to
Hmm.
connect and open up
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's,
Not yeah, and not only that, she's totally focused. She's totally responsible, where none of that was happening before. And um, and I will say, she did she did. I don't not blaming my ex, but she had a lot of my ex's tendencies, and so I was even more eager for her to be responsible and focus and take care of business and not like walk
mhm,
away from things and drop things. And why
mhm.
am I telling you this? I was going to say something. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is she didn't have to do any work. I'm the only one that did work.
Right.
She didn't want to have anything to do with it. It's like, no, I don't want to know what you're doing, mom. Like, that is what's so cool. So because we have energetic links with everybody. So my negative energetic links with my ex, I'm not blasting him anymore, and so I'm not connecting him in negative ways. So he's had those negative links released from him.
Mhm.
um, yeah, so that's what's so exciting is you get to affect other people
Right,
in
right,
positive ways.
right.
and and yeah, I mean the transformation in her, just because I'm doing my work, is unbelievable. Like night and day. Like she was angry. I could not get her to go to high school. She wasn't handing her work in, and she is super intelligent. That's the other thing. I feel like the kids nowadays are much more sensitive and open to all the energies going around, and we're angrier and we're more pissed off and we're more in fear, and that's what they're getting because they're more wide open and more energetic.
Mhm.
but I feel like they also they chose it. We're all coming here. I feel we're all coming here to evolve and raise a consciousness on the planet, just like your calls, raising
Yes,
the consciousness. Like, I really believe that we're here to raise the consciousness, and we are powerful.
we are.
How
Well,
we
and
think.
I think our kids are too. I mean, like you
Oh,
said,
we are.
they're
Yeah.
far more sensitive and, you know, brilliant. And it's like they can see through the bullshit, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah. Sometimes we don't see it.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they, you know,
Yeah.
they don't need all the systems and the things to work the way it's been working because there's, you know,
Yeah. 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 I feel like things will be changing with future generations, and yeah, because yeah, they like to just get to the point. What do you want me to do? Teach me what you want me to teach me. Let's do it and move on.
yeah,
And you know, you're learning basic skills for life.
right, right.
And I feel like everybody has their own passion, their own things that inspire them that they want to do, and let them do that. Because in the past,
Yeah.
my dad, you know, they're trained to worry and want their kids to do well and get government jobs, so you have pensions and things like that. And so he's so worried about my kids because
Yes,
they're
yeah.
not
I know.
they're
What
not
are
in
they
none
gonna
of those kind of jobs. They're like self-employed. It's like,
do?
oh
I
my
know.
god, he's like, yeah. So it's so interesting, the different way people think. So I learned from my dad. I learned from his generational viewpoints and thoughts, and it's scary to him, but I understand it. You probably understand it. You know that we all have this inner drive, and our
Yeah,
kids are all different, have different things that fuel them. Yeah.
absolutely. So, some advice. So, like, what advice would you give to parents who are kind of currently in the thick of struggle
Mm-hmm.
with their
Okay.
kids?
Yeah. So one, I would say, try not to feel guilty and understand that you actually came to explore this together. And two, you are both so powerful. But we have only learned about, I call it fear, which is like worry and frustration. That's all we've learned. There's nobody that taught us how to love. Like, we think we're loving, but underneath, you know, we learned it. So yeah, so I say what the next thing is just being aware. Just stop dropping in, and so when there's something going on, like just dropping in, okay, what's going on? What am I feeling? Because it's always about me. What am I, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling unheard, feeling whatever, I'm like a bad mom, I can't get my kid to school, whatever's going on. So just that is huge. Just bringing your awareness to where you are at, and your kid will even notice that. So you're just like dropping in. Okay, i I do an energy exercise. I don't know if you want me to tell you. I'll tell you in a minute. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing, dropping in and checking in. Where am I coming from? Oh, I'm really angry and frustrated, and okay, that's cool. I don't want to be angry and frustrated. I love my son. So that, I'll come back to the energy. And then the next thing is, as we talked about, envisioning them the way you want them to be.
Mm.
We are powerful. They pick up on our thoughts. They are strongly connected to us. So envisioning them, they can handle anything that comes their way. They are making choices that are for their highest and best good. I love that one, because
That is
parents worry so much about their choices. So yeah, they are making choices that are for their highest and best good. They've got this. They're amazing. They're talented. They're loved. And then, yeah, then the energy exercise I do is, so for example, I used to have a lot of issues asking my daughter to do things in the kitchen. Like, she loves to cook, but cleaning up.
keep the
And
dish.
so I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm feeling fear of rejection. I'm feeling I need her acceptance and approval. Okay, that's cool. And like, sometimes it's in my head, sometimes out loud. It's like, thank you for showing me that I'm needing your approval, and I'm worried about what you think of me, when I am source and I am awesome and I am amazing. I
Mm.
release all this negativity that you've brought to my attention. I transmute all the negativity to love. And then I'm just like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I love you, Shannon. Can you clean up the dishes in the kitchen for me? Or can you get that done within a couple hours or whatever? So yeah. And so it's like checking in. It's a gift that she's showing me I have this because I love her and I don't want to be angry at her, which I explored that a lot.
Right, right.
And she's explored that with me too. And then just doing a quick release and transmute, because that tells me that I'm owning it and I'm the owner of it. It's mine. I feel like everything that we feel and think is ours.
Yeah.
And then just getting into that in my mind, like even before I go to talk to her in her room, I'm like, I love you. And just kind of getting myself centered, because our kids have a really good way of catching us off guard, and like something comes up. It's like, oh, I didn't want to react that way.
Right, right. Well, I thought
Better
it was
late than never.
right. Yeah, no kidding. But I know across the board that especially parents of teenagers, the dishes are a thing, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
independent enough to make their own food, but often the dishes are either in the room or left on the side of the sink, or
Yeah.
I always say, we become sort of the on
Yeah.
repeat. You rinse
Yeah.
your dish,
Yeah.
put it in the dishwasher,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But that feeling, you totally just identified a feeling for me that I didn't realize was happening,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because there's that moment between, you notice the dish there, you feel frustrated and angry that you have to again say something, and why can't they be responsible, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you don't want the conflict.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the next part there. And
Yeah.
so, for me, it's like, well, you either, it's, I, in the moment, or, up until a moment ago, thought I had two choices. My choice one was to just do it myself and be angry, or choice two would be to ask her and, or him, because they all do it,
Yeah.
to ask them. But usually if it's coming from my angry tone, they're gonna pick up on it, and then we're gonna have a little bicker.
Yeah. Been there, done that many times.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not new, but but what you just said about the fear of not being accepted or not having,
Fear of rejection.
fear of rejection, yeah,
Needing approval and acceptance. Yeah. Yeah.
that's like so, like it takes it to another level where
And you're also frustrated because you feel like you're not valued, but yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But feeling and then being able to identify that and then come from a place in love, and then there's no conflict. It's just, the ask, and you let go, of what happens after the ask.
Yeah. And I have found when I get into that really good place, she's totally cool. Like sometimes she'll say, sometimes I will ask when we'd be able to do that, and she'll tell me, but she's like totally cool with the whole thing. She knows 100% it's her responsibility to clean up, right? So it's like, but before I didn't get those kind of responses. It was like, yes, but she wouldn't do it. And I was frustrated. Why is this happening to me? And oh my gosh. And they totally know. They're just reacting to our stuff. And what happens is I find negative energies really comes into conflict with strong relationships or close family members. I feel like I like to say that fear kind of intensifies, and between two awesome soul buddies. And part of it is a teaching and an understanding, because that's the person you're going to work for. I wouldn't work for my ex-husband, but I would do it for my daughter. And it was like the same thing.
Right. Yes. Yes.
It was like, oh,
Absolutely.
like, so she's like showing me so much stuff that she's just like him. Not anymore, but so I was willing to do the work for her, but it wasn't, of course, no doubt, no question about it. But for him, it's like, no, let's get divorced. I mean, there is a lot of,
Yeah,
trials
there's
and
other areas there, that's
yeah,
sure.
there was a lot of trying, and then but it was interesting later in years when I realized, oh yeah, you're willing to do the work for your child. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so yeah, that definitely, yeah, they teach us where we're coming from, and they mirror back and react in that way. So if we're like frustrated, like they're we're sending them, we're connecting on those negative levels, and those negative levels and those other negative links assist them not to do it just because they're in a negative place. So because what the other thing is, because of law of attraction, so when we're in that place, we're actually connecting in with other moms who are frustrated, and they're connecting in with other kids who are frustrated with the moms. So it's like it intensifies and gets heavier and worse. And it's cool understanding when it comes right down to it, it's quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking? What thoughts are we putting out there? And then it's recreating new neural pathways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not relying on the sort of triggered habits, and and you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
use
Understanding
ways
them.
to understand, the thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
feelings and how they play into our actions and our choices and the way that we communicate and the way that
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and what it comes down to, and you've been talking about it all along, and there too, is the fear and love. And I've this theme, continues to come up, that really everything boils down to fear and love, and how to get to that place um, where our actions and our thoughts and our feelings are developed from a place, um, coming from that place of love rather than
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's lots of learning the wrong way.
Yeah, well,
Until yeah, but it's perfect. It's
we
perfect.
have to. Yeah, we
I
we can't learn any other way.
I learned it so well. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very cool. Yeah. When I look back, it's very, very cool learning. But when you're in it, it's like it's
Yeah,
like,
it feels horrible when you.
I love you. Why won't you do your dishes or whatever?
Right,
Why
right.
you can't remember to take the garbage out?
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention is um we take on a ton of negative energies from other people just because we're all connected. So when I do that exercise, it's like I release the frustration, the anger, the pain, the hurt. I release all the negativity. I say my light, my source light, my light. I transmit all the negativity to love, and all that has come to me during this time, I
Mm,
return to them with love. So you're just returning it back to them because it's their stuff to learn from.
right. So you're not taking on and holding on to everybody else.
Yeah, because sometimes when you do that, you can feel so much lighter. You don't realize how much stuff we take on from other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Mm.
It's true.
Hmm.
Well, this has been beautiful. I have learned a lot. And I just I I I really am continually inspired by the people who do the inner work, and
Mm.
and because it helps everyone around you, not just you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's what I love. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't think about that as much. We're like, oh, I have to do everything else for everybody and fix you and fix this, and then the world will be okay. And it's like,
Just
no,
do you. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Even the kids are that we work with, they're going to open to us if we're coming from a loving place. And when we have our off days, things don't go well. Aren't they such great teachers? I remember hearing a teacher one time say she had this little guy, and she he was normally awesome and sweet, and this one particular day he was so interruptive, and he was like getting in her space, and he was just doing all these things, and she was so annoyed. And what she ended up learning was he was picking up on how she was feeling. She was reading a book, happy, but she was sad inside. So she's reading this happy story, but she was sad because she had something, she wasn't communicating with her son or something. And so he was totally picking up on what was going on with her, and he was doing things actually to try to assist her to feel better. And so when she found that out, she was like, oh my gosh. But it's amazing, right? It's like, we want to teach, we want to do an amazing job, and when things get in the way, it's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, yeah.
Yeah, that's where, we talk a lot about having grace with one another, especially right now. And, as you know, the education sphere with all our students, where everybody's doing everything differently. Even if you are in person, it's not the same, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
so we've been talking a lot, my coworkers and colleagues and I, about having grace, and and with here too, like, things are going to happen, mistakes are going to happen, there's going to be technology snafus, there's going to be things that we say or do that probably weren't very conducive to learning. There's because we're all dealing with the stuff in whatever the shift is and however it's going to play out.
Yeah.
So
and moms are more stressed, and kids are more stressed, and teachers are more stressed. Like, everything's different, everything's changing. All new learning for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And so just having that grace and compassion, for yourself and for your kids, whether you're at home with them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, having that grace and compassion for you. Yeah, because you're trying to do it all. Like, you're trying to do everything right, and everything's blowing up. Yeah, that's right. That's perfect. Like, just sitting there and just loving you no matter what. That's powerful, actually. Just loving you, because you're giving the gift to your kids you work with and your own kids to say, yeah, I'm just going to love me no matter what's going on.
Right.
Because they'll pick up on that. It's like, yeah, even though this is going like this, I'm just going to love myself. I love that grace and compassion.
Yeah. It's amazing. And that's not easy to do too. We're not trained to be like, oh, I love myself, I'm so great.
I know, because it's like,
I wear it on my shirt to remind myself.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that too. Wear all kinds of little things on my fingers and my wrist. Like, these are reminders, and then they kind of become obsolete. You don't forget they're there. It's like really quickly. Or something on your desk, or like even sticky notes on my computer. Yes. But it's like forcing ourselves, and it gets easier and easier. But it's because I find as soon as we have that whatever negative thing, judgment of ourselves, beating ourselves up, whatever it is, I feel like it's so normal for it to get worse. And you're right, we're not trained to say, okay, cool, I'm just gonna love myself, because it's like that law of attraction, more stuff comes and it builds. So let's recreate that love and compassion and have that build. Yeah, we don't do that.
We totally could do that.
We're so good at criticizing ourselves. Yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea. Just love yourself and let that build. Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, how powerful would that be? Because we don't even take the time to just love ourselves.
Yeah. It'd be a beautiful thing.
This was fun.
This is fun. Well, I so appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tech issues and all, I think we had a wonderful conversation, and I know I'm walking away with some great ideas and some inspiration. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, this was a wonderful talk for me, actually. Yeah, it's really good chatting with you.
And there'll be, so those of you who are watching the replay, thank you for being with us today. We'll put some links down. If you're interested in learning more from Joanne, I'll put her info there in the comment section on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, there's more information down in the description there. We'll have info there.
And I'll add my Facebook group there too, probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Perfect.
If anybody wants to join that group, where I'll be doing some weekly teachings.
That would be amazing. I would love that. All
Mhm.
right. Well, thank you so much, Joanne.
Thank you. Have a good night.
It was great.